Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'm the King. Welcome back to the channel. We just had the Dead by Daylight Q&A live stream, and we had some interesting information in this, some sad news as well. You can probably read from the title. First of all, we're not getting any winter event this year. Quite sad, but on the bright side, we do have a lot of cosmetics, as I mentioned in this video, for some of the characters, and everything is now being intertwined with the Rift, and I think that's an awesome way of intertwining their events with the Rift itself, so that way everyone has a taste of it instead of just having all of these events where you would have to farm and basically do these things and cause even more issues in the game. You can just grind out in the Rift and get yourself some cool, awesome rewards. We've seen that with the Halloween event, and now we're getting it for the winter event up and coming. There is one thing that I would have liked, however, and that's if we had the Christmas music and the snow everywhere, as well as the Christmas themed generators and fire barrels and hooks. I think that would have been awesome, but sadly we're not going to be getting that. But instead, we'll just have our regular Christmas cosmetics. And in addition to that, on January 2nd, 2 to 6, we are going to have a double Bloodpoints event. This is going to also celebrate the new year, as well as the closing of the Rift, because we just received our final tome number 4, the challenges for week 4. So after this, it's going to be done, and everything that you've had is going to be pretty much erased. So in the next mid-chapter patch, 14.5, we'll be getting the new tome, which will feature new characters, a new storyline, and all of these new things. So you guys can look forward to that coming up. Speaking of the mid-chapter patch, we did get some more information about the Doctor. We covered this in a video previously because we had some leaked information on the descriptions of the Doctor on his power and some of his add-ons. They basically reiterated everything that we said in our Doctor video. I'll leave a link to it down below if you guys are interested in watching that. Essentially, they just talked about their new shocking mechanic. It has a cooldown of 60 seconds, so we actually have some numbers to this time. So we have the 60-second cooldown of the Doctor's blast, and essentially if you are in his heartbeat, you will scream, revealing your location, and it'll be enough to tear you up. And then they also spoke about the counterclockwise skill checks on the Iridescent King. So instead of having exhaustion, we're going to have counterclockwise skill checks coming up for the Doctor. And because we have an Iridescent King, we're also going to have an Iridescent Queen. And essentially, if you blast someone with your power, they'll have a little static charge on them. And if they go near another survivor, they will scream as well. We spoke about all of this in our previous Doctor video, so you guys are free to watch that if you want more of a breakdown of the Doctor and his reworks. Now, something quite interesting that they did mention was that this isn't going to be a complete overhaul such as Freddy, but this is going to be a little bit more than the Nurse. And we do know that the Nurse received some pretty good updates. She had almost all of her add-ons reworked. In addition to that, some of her main power was tweaked a bit, so hopefully we can see every single one of the Doctor add-ons being reworked. In addition to that, having some of his base power, as we know, is going to have blast, but a little bit more to that. They did mention a passive that he's going to have, so now he's just going to move at 4.6 movement speed, 115% at all times, rather than having to switch in between his powers. So as soon as his 60 seconds is there, you can use your power whenever. You don't need to go ahead and swap your posture or poses. Now, they also spoke a little bit more about the disconnection penalties that were introduced into the game. It's only lasting until tomorrow. They are very happy that we're giving them feedback on it, and I think that's also super important to the community, voicing what we think about it, how we feel about it. Yesterday, I made a video talking about how I felt about it. Obviously, it's brand new and it definitely does need some tweaks, but for the most part, I pretty much like it, and I hope that they stick with the basics of it, of timing people out. I've seen a lot of people talking about maybe have a penalty to blood points or something like that. I find that as something that won't really work, as you can have, you know, the archive challenges, you can get blood points there. You can have your daily challenges, you can get blood points there. And in addition to that, you can get yourself some massive amount of points from the Shrine of Secrets by using shards, and then whatever depth that you owe because of disconnecting, you can literally just pay it back. And essentially, if you have all the perks and all the killers leveled up, having any experience or blood point reduction is something that a lot of people don't really care about, but actually playing the game and wanting to play more is something that, you know, everybody wants to do. That's the whole point of it. And I've also heard a lot of people saying, oh, this is going to drive more players out, but realistically, if you're DCing 5 or 6 times a game, you probably should take a break from Dead by Daylight anyways. So next up on the list, they spoke a little bit about balance landing. We made a video like this in the past, and I also voiced my opinion about this a lot on streams as well as Twitch and Twitter, and they basically reiterated again everything that I mentioned in that video, and it's good to see some confirmation that my ideas was essentially the same way that they were thinking. They basically said that balance landing wasn't working the way they intended with the infinite loops, and it's prolonging chases way too long, hence why we got the change. I made a video like that. The video was sadly taken down, however, because we did have a copyright strike on it, and I want to make that point clear really quickly as well while I'm here. Any video that you ever see that's taken down from the channel is because of demonetization or copyrights. I don't take it down for any other reason. Anyways, I digress back into the video, and there is one extra point that I want to talk about, and this is probably the most interesting takeaway from the entire video except for the Bloodpoints event and everything else, and that is talking about ranks. And they were very vague when talking about these ranks and rank reset and everything like that, but essentially they were talking about the way that rank reset works now, where you would go back down a color rank rather than going down like 10 ranks all the way back. Essentially, Not Queen brought up a point saying there's a lot of players saying that, let's say I got rank 1 with Trapper and then I want to learn to play a different character, and when rank reset happens I'll be 5, and because of this I don't really have enough room to learn this new character without playing against really good survivors. And then they vaguely spoke about what we've been mentioning for a long time, and having individual rankings for killers. Now, I don't really know what to think about individual ranking. It sounds good on paper, but it does bring about some more problems, because essentially we know that some killers do way better than other killers, and you're more than likely to see some of the better killers in the red ranks more than ever now, because let's say you are playing the nurse very efficiently, you'll be in rank 1. The Spirit, you'll be in rank 1. Freddy, you'll be in rank 1, and certain killers such as maybe the Trapper, the Clown, you won't see as much. Now, this is pretty much the same thing that we have now. However, let's say a rank 1 player decides to maybe play a different character just for the day, you know, and you're already in rank 1, you'll see these characters in rank 1. Now, you'll pretty much never see them, so I know a lot of survivors are not happy facing the same type of killers every single game, and it does get quite boring, and I can agree with that. So individual ranking might bring a set of new problems, but it's definitely something that I'm sure they're going to explore. As I mentioned in this, there's no timeline to this. They're still looking into it. This is just what's floating around the air right now. When I went to Comic-Con, we spoke about this a little bit off camera, and it's an interesting idea, and I would like to see what they're going to do with it and where they go from here. And a final thing that I do want to mention about this is hook teching. So if you guys are unfamiliar with hook teching and what it does, essentially if you grab a survivor and then you just phase through them, go to the other side, the killer will swing at the person and they would miss because the player just goes to the other side, and they would hit the person on the hook and you can essentially just run away. It was a common strategy that a lot of people use, especially the more experienced survivors, and then they removed it where the person on the hook had no hit detection, so you could literally just swing at the person on the hook and hit the unhooker. And essentially they said that this wasn't what they wanted, so they reverted it. However, the person that is unhooking the survivor cannot go ahead and phase through them anymore, so it still has that skill cap of knowing how to hook tech, etc. So it's good that they brought it back. I'm happy, because even though I'm a killer main, this is something that made certain survivors better than others, and it's not making the skill cap for survivors literally just one straight line. So there's other things that you can do here to improve your gameplay. But that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this video. I hope you guys did enjoy. Let me know what you guys think about the dev Q&A in this short little summary. As always, I'm the King. I tip my crown to you guys. We'll be back tomorrow with some more streams and everything like that. So yeah, we'll see you then. Enjoy the rest of your days, and we'll see you in the fog.